Good afternoon, Dunkirk and Fredonia listeners, and welcome back to the last News at Noon of the semester. News at Noon is brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems on WCVF 88.9 and WDVL 89.5. I'm News Director Lee Pye here today with Joshua Ribakove, Scott Bassett, Sara Lodespoto, as well as Hunter Halterman and Sports Director Matt Volz. With this top of the hour update, we'll bring you the latest of SUNY Fredonia's campus news and events, sports, weather, and music, as well as national and international news. First up, let's go to the event bulletin for this week. De-Stress for Success is hosting a week-long event called Stress Free Zone. It's a place for students during Dead Week where they can take a break from all the stress from finals week, the final week of classes, just so they can take a breather and become relaxed. If you're interested, this event will be at the Reed Library in the Oscar Room during Reed Library hours. That's it for the information through the grapevine. Next, we'll bring it to Scott for our latest campus news updates.
Tomorrow, in the Jewett parking lot, there will be a collection of food trucks. They will be there from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and include Pizza Amore, Happy Camper, Over the Rainbow, Franklin's Honey and Apples, Serving Up Smiles, Yakisoba, and Will's BBQ. As this next upcoming week is finals week, students will need a lot of studying. So I've gathered a list of a few studying tips to help you all out. The most important thing is a healthy amount of sleep. Cramming all of your studying into the night before the test leads to forgetting the majority of what you learned. Set aside a time that is exclusively for studying, and when you're ready to go, put on some non-intrusive music, pop in some gum, and study. You can make a study guide, study flashcards, or even teach a friend the material to cement your own understanding. Just whatever you do not try and wing it. We've all been there. That's it for campus news. Now let's send it back to Lee.
Thanks, Scott. Next up, we have local news. Abigail Yurko, a Dunkirk councilwoman, demanded accountability for the city's financial problems during the Common Council meeting last Tuesday. She said, quote, "What is our plan for holding people accountable for things that have happened and have gotten us into a financial crisis? People want to know what we are doing to hold people accountable to ensure that these things don't happen going forward," end quote. Then Councilwoman Natalie Luxwiak said, quote, I don't know who you're directing that question to. I mean, when everything is done, we don't have any audits done. So when everything is done and out together, we will have answers. Until then, it's just a speculation on everything that's happened, end quote. An audit of 2022 finances should be ready in July. Auditing of the cities of 2023 will occur immediately after the 2022 audit is released. Luxwiak said, quote, Please know that the council and city hall staff are conducting a thorough financial assessment in order to identify areas of inefficiency, waste, and unnecessary expenses. This is being done in collaboration with state agencies. They are offering, and we are accepting assistance, guidance, and, of course, monetary relief, end quote. During Fred Fest, a fight broke out on Deer Street. Officers were met with a crowd that were attempting to de-escalate the situation. Several subjects began shoving the officers. One subject identified as Miguel Villas from Dunkirk. A large group began surrounding the officers, some attempting to pull Velez off of the obstruct officers. A subject, Omar Salom Hernandez of Dunkirk, kicked an officer while he was on the ground with Velez, then grabbed a chair and began attacking the officers. Other officers then came, and that's when Salom Hernandez then fled on foot. Officers started dispersing the unruly crowd with Velez, and Velez was transported back to the Dunkirk Police Headquarters and issued an appearance ticket for second-degree obstruction of governmental administration, and a warrant was filed for second-degree obstruction governmental administration and resisting arrest. He later was located on Monday by police. That's it for your local news update. Now let's bring it to the sports guy, Matt Volz.
Thanks, Lee. The men's and women's track and field teams competed in the SUNYAC Championships this past weekend. Sophomore Kara Pellecchia took home the SUNYAC championship in the pole vault, and she currently holds multiple school records in that event. The men's 4x100-meter relay team also set a new school record with a time of 42.19 seconds. The relay team finished in second place, less than 0.2 of a second behind Cortland. They qualified for the Regional Track and Field Championships, which will be held at Cortland on Wednesday, May 15th and Thursday the 16th. Fredonia's softball team is headed to the SUNYAC playoffs with their first game tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. against Cortland. The Blue Devils are the number 5 seed in the conference tournament, which will be hosted by New Paltz. If Fredonia wins tomorrow, they'll play the winner of Geneseo versus Oneonta at noon on Friday. If they lose, they'll play whoever loses the New Paltz versus Buff State game at 2:30 p.m. on Thursday. And last night, Fredonia's athletic department hosted its annual Freddie Awards at Roche Recital Hall. Athletes and coaches were recognized for their contributions to the school and the community. Individual awards were also handed out to the top female and male athletes of the year, as well as the top female and male rookies of the year. Kara Pellecchia took home the Female Athlete of the Year award, while junior Christian Pagano of the baseball team won Male Athlete of the Year. Gabby Irwin of the women's soccer team was awarded Female Rookie of the Year, while Jordan Lockett of the men's track and field team won Male Rookie of the Year. Several athletes were also inducted into Chi Alpha Sigma, which recognizes Fredonia athletes who record a GPA of 3.4 or higher. And the NHL Draft Lottery took place last night. The Sabres will be picking 11th overall. Many fans are hoping that general manager Kevin Adams will trade the pick for a veteran player that will help the team win now. That's an idea that Kevin Adams didn't seem to completely dismiss this offseason either. Adams has never traded away a first-round pick in his tenure as general manager, but that could change considering the fact that the team is in win-now mode and they already have young talent both on the roster and in the prospect pool. Buffalo has held the 11th pick 5 times before in franchise history, most notably selecting former defenseman and Miracle on Ice Olympian Mike Ramsey in 1979. That's all for your sports update. Now let's send it to Sara with the weather.
Now, here is your Northern Chautauqua weather update brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems.
Hey y'all, today might be looking a little cloudy at the moment, but the sun finds its way to peek through the clouds as we rise to 73. If you're feeling too hot, the winds help us cool us down, so no worries. Is it just me, or do my outfits get worse during the warmer months? As I take off the extra layers, my outfits feel too basic and need more pizzazz, I guess. But I can't do much when I'm sweating it off. Like when it's cloudy, 40-degree temperature tonight, my fashion sense comes out a bit with my jacket matching my shoes. The increase in cloud cover brings us periods of rain and strong winds tomorrow, reaching to 58. Since it's too rainy to go outdoors, consider spending some time cleaning. Look, I don't like cleaning as much as the next person, but with finals and deadlines coming up, it might be nice to come back from the library with a clean room. You won't even need to spend that much time cleaning. You'd be surprised how much you could do in an hour. Think about it while the nighttime descends to the upper 40s and the rain pours on. That's it for your 2-day weather. Keep listening. I'll be back with the rest of your weekend forecast. For now, let's take it to Lee for a local music update.
We got technical.
Last Call Entertainment is hosting their last show of the semester called BJ's Fest. The bands Magazine Beach, Robbery Club, Gas Station, The Weather Might Say Otherwise, and B-Roller Casper will be performing at BJ's at 51 West Main Street in Fredonia on May 9th. Doors are at 9 p.m. and music is at 10 p.m. Also, the Reverberation Music Festival is happening on May 11th. Reverb is a festival a student, Jacob Kantner, created in order to celebrate the end of the semester with some vendors, readings from the campus literary magazine, The Trident, and, of course, music. The vendors are Sara Burke under the vendor name Oopsie Art, and the Fred Favorite Thrift Shop Recollected. The music consists of all local bands, which would be Galactic Waste, Chatterbox, Michael Hogan, Jacob King, Ryan Bushell, Jasmine Comet, Corden Flake Carr, Hit Girl, the Ryan Terry Family Band, and Jacob Kantner and Friends. The event is sponsored by clubs like Sigma Tau Delta, Writers Ring, Fred Groves, and Fredonia Radio Systems, and the magazine The Trident. The festival is located in Barker Commons on May 11th from noon to 8:30 p.m. That's all I have for music news this week. Now let's bring it to Josh for national and international news.
If you live in the United States, chances are you've heard of the Boy Scouts of America. Maybe you knew somebody who was a Boy Scout, or perhaps you yourself were once a member. Well, BSA announced this morning that they will be rebranding. Formerly known as Boy Scouts of America, the nonprofit organization will be calling themselves Scouting America come 2025. In the past, the organization has faced sexual abuse claims and bankruptcy. Now, the plan is to become a more inclusive organization that is open to not only young guys, but also people of other sex and gender identities. One might consider this a change that has been in the works for a while. Boy Scouts began allowing gay members in 2013, and 2 years later lifted a blanket ban that prohibited gay adults from becoming Scout leaders. In 2018, the organization began accepting girls as Cub Scouts, and a couple years later, they were allowed into the Boy Scouts program, then renamed Scouts BSA. At this point, over 6,000 young women have achieved the rank of Eagle Scout, the highest attainable rank in the Scouts BSA program. This Tuesday, President Joe Biden hosted Romanian President Klaus Iohannis at the White House. The two had met in the Oval Office to celebrate Romania's 2 decades as a NATO member, celebrating their cooperation on issues such as international security, the economy, and their support for Ukraine. Biden joked and told Iohannis he advocated for Romania's joining of the NATO group when he was a senator 180 years ago. Biden also stated the United States' commitment to standing with Romania, and the Romanian president thanked Biden, calling the alliance, quote, a cornerstone to our democratic way of life, end quote. Klaus Iohannis expressed his intention to make progress towards a visa waiver for Romanian travelers to the U.S., and that his top priority right now is to find a way to reinstall peace in Europe and ensure that Putin does not win the war in Ukraine. Yesterday, adult film actor Stormy Daniels stood at the witness stand in Donald Trump's criminal trial and described her alleged sexual encounter from 2006. In this trial, prosecutors are charging Trump with falsifying business records in order to cover up his former lawyer, Mike Cohen's payment of $130,000 as hush money for Stormy Daniels to remain silent before the 2016 election. Stormy Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, testified that she did not decline Trump's sexual advances in his Lake Tahoe penthouse suite where Trump had invited her for dinner. She claims that she had blacked out before finding herself naked in his bed, but she also says she did not consume any drugs or alcohol. Stephanie Clifford also testified that Trump dangled a role in his reality TV show, The Apprentice. As a result, she said, quote, there was an imbalance of power for sure, but I was not threatened verbally or physically, end quote. Trump's lawyers asked Justice Juan Merchan to declare a mistrial, but the judge denied the request, however, urging prosecutors to limit the actor's testimony. Stormy Daniels claimed in her testimony that in 2011 she agreed to be interviewed with In Touch magazine because they offered her money for an interview about the encounter, but later that year she had a lawyer ask a blog to remove the account of their story after she said she was threatened by a man in a Las Vegas parking lot to remain quiet about the encounter. Donald Trump is pleading not guilty, but when his defense lawyer, Susan Nachelles, asked Daniels if she'd like him to go to jail should he be found guilty, Stormy Daniels replied, quote, if he is found guilty, absolutely, end quote. That does it for today's national and international news. Now let's bring it back to Sara for the weekend update.
Friday kicks off the weekend with clouds and a passing shower as we reach 58. You know, I had a feeling we had too many sunny days. This just confirms my suspicions. To be fair, though, we've had a week worth of sun. I think it's okay for a little rain, just as long as you bring back the glowing ball in the sky. Luckily, though, the rain stops before sunset, leaving partly cloudy skies dipping to the mid-40s. Saturday is definitely a study day because strong winds and the clouds bombard us as we rise to 58. Now, if you feel like procrastinating on studying, which I do not suggest, by the way, you can always update yourself on the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. If you don't know, it's too complicated for me to explain in one sitting, but basically they've been writing diss tracks to each other for a week, I believe. The claims on both sides are wild. It took me about an hour to watch an explanation video and listen through all the songs. So while the nighttime shifts to the upper 40s, consider getting caught up on the rap drama. The sun is trying to make a comeback on Sunday, rising to 58. However, with some rain and intervals of clouds, we'll see if we can catch some rays. Is 58 your lucky number? because I don't know if you noticed this while I was talking about the forecast, but from Thursday to Sunday, it is literally the same daytime temperature of 58. Now, the weather is bound to change, but as of this forecast, we're at 58 for 4 days straight. So, if 58's your lucky number, try your luck with a lottery ticket or with a person you like. Tell me how that goes, as Sunday evening descends to the mid-40s with the clouds circling. That's it for your weekend forecast. Let's take right back to Lee.
That'll wrap up for today's edition of News at Noon. Campus news is written by Scott Bassett. Local news for this broadcast is prepared by Lee Pye. Weather is presented by Sara Lodespoto. Sports is presented by Matt Volz. Music is prepared by Lee Pye. National and international news is prepared by Joshua Ribakove. And finally, board operations for this broadcast are performed by Hunter Halterman. Thanks for tuning in to News at Noon. This, unfortunately, is the last News at Noon of the semester, and I want to send off all of the News at Noon seniors, Josh, Hunter, and Chloe. Thank you for all of your help on News at Noon, and we wish you all the best. And y'all better keep listening to WCVF 88.9 and WDVL 89.5. From all of us at Fredonia Radio Systems, have a wonderful day, good luck on finals, and congrats to all those who are graduating.